Well, after leaving the auto industry, when I was last in the auto industry, I worked as a designer for American Motors. And I did the Levi interior and the Wagoneer Limited and back in the early 70s. And they were pretty successful, and I was pretty proud of my work, but then we introduced the Pacer. And I actually did the interior in the Pacer, but I couldn't believe they replaced the Javelin with the Pacer, so I was out of there. Got in, sat back, licked my wounds for about 6 months, wondered what I was going to do, never wanted to see cars again or work on them. So I saw the need in this industry here. Actually, I went for a ride with a friend of mine who manufactured boats at the time. Sat in the back seat of this little jet boat. We were on Lake Belleville back in Michigan, and we were going as fast as the boat could go, and the fella driving it didn't know how to drive, and he flipped the wheel, and I flipped out of the boat, ripped my shoulder out of the joint, dislocated shoulder. As they drove off into the sunset, I just came to the conclusion, you know what? This industry needs some safety in those seating. That's how it all started. Back in the 60s, we were involved with a race program with Ford Motor Company, and we learned a lot about the angles of the steering wheel and the ergonomics of the seating and the cockpit. And in school, I learned more about ergonomics. I studied ergonomics, and being in the boat industry, and the faster we were going, I was able to relate back to that ergonomics history that I had. And we've created over the years a Mcleod bolster. And when we first introduced it back in the mid-70s, excuse me, we had to kind of work the design into what was known as a stand-up bolster at the time. So we couldn't shock the industry with some shocking designs. But as years went on with customers like Formula and Baja and Donzi and Black Thunder, several others, we were able to introduce what I felt according to ergonomics. Ergonomics always controls the design, and then you kind of add aesthetics after you get the ergonomics correct. So that's about how it all evolved. Yeah, we've got electric arms and electric headrest, and but we actually built our first shock mitigated system last month, and it was installed in a Donzi 22. We're actually doing the second version of that seat as we speak, and we're changing the mechanics of it a little bit. We're going to install it in one of Larry Smith's 26-foot boats out in California, and for testing purposes. And it's a 26 sit-down seat, 26 sit-down boat. These are sit-down seats, and we're going to put some big horsepower and go out and frolic and see what we've got and tweak it in, and before we enter the market with it. But I'm pretty happy with the way the first one came out. Second one, like I said, we've changed it, the mechanics of it a little bit, quite a bit, and that's what I feel is the future. Smaller boats, faster. They're always going to be faster. The larger boats, they're always going to be there, but not as many. So we've got to make them safe in these fast, small boats, and that's what we're heading for right now.
Closing shot?
Well, AJ, I love it. I haven't seen AJ since 1988. Last time I saw him, he had a beard. I didn't even recognize him. And Jeff, I've seen him a whole lot over the years, and it's a lot of fun. I love coming up here. It's a new adventure, you know. Mark Twain land. Love it, love it. Well, I've been very fortunate over the years as far as my education. That's the obvious, but and my history in the auto industry and what have you. But where I've been fortunate is I had a motorcycle accident. A lady ran over me. She didn't even see me, pulled in front of me, hurt my back and legs. I was rear-ended in a car accident. Why I'm telling you this is I have all these injuries as a result of all that, and because of that I was able to tweak the ergonomics even better in the seats. Things that people don't notice in our seats. unless they go on a long trip. When they're on a long trip, they start to realize, because they schedule themselves for a stop over here and there because they know what it's like in one of these on the water. These seats will actually get calls from people that pull in and they actually thank us for our design because it made this long trip they were fearing, they were dreading, a more comfortable trip and fun rather than tiresome. So that's pretty enjoyable. Fred Kiekefer did that once. He called me, pulled in dockside, and he says, "Okay, you're right. You were right. Okay, I admit it." And that's all he said. He hung up and didn't see him for a couple of months after that. Yeah, well, you know, we're always working with Sensation. We've been doing their interiors for quite a few years, and they're working on a new 36-footer, and we're going to incorporate some of the new designs, new gadgets that we have that aren't yet available on the Sensation. And again, you know, they're going faster. We got to make them safer. I didn't want to shock the industry by coming out with all these electric. You know, we're slowly but surely introducing them.